Just got to the theater, man. Get ready to check out Birth of a Nation. The reimagining of Nat Turner's infamous slave rebellion. Um, Pretty excited. You know what I'm saying? Pretty excited, man. It's been a long time coming. You know, glad to see a film like this being made, and I'm hoping to get something out of it. Going into it with low expectations, and that's not a negative thing. I'm just not going to burden this particular film with a set of expectations that could never be fulfilled. More so looking forward to going in here and getting a better understanding of Nate Parker's reimagining of the rebellion of Nat Turner. And I'm hoping to walk away inspired for the most part. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for some parallels of that particular time period compared to this time period. I'm not going to sit there and pretend like things haven't changed, but I'm not going to pretend that things have changed a whole bunch either. So I'm looking forward to seeing some powerful symbolism. And at the end of the day, art is supposed to evoke an emotional response. So I'm anticipating that as well. What type of response? Time will tell. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably run through the whole gambit of emotions. But just trying to support independent art, trying to support us telling more stories of our history. Our history doesn't begin or end with slavery, but it is a part of American black people's history, and it's a story that needs to be told until we're blue in the face, because they're trying to whitewash it and remove the actual facts of slavery from American history. And so that's why I'm supporting. Expecting a couple friends of mine, some peers, some really good like-minded brothers, and stay tuned, man. We're gonna be doing some similar style videos after the film, so we can give you some honest reactions the moment the movie ends.
Let me know when you're ready.
All right, we're ready, bro.
Oh man, when it comes to like movies like this, man, I always try to make sure I go check out our heritage. Like, for instance, Selma, man, I had to make sure I go see Selma when that first came out. And so like I see things like Birth of the Nation, and Nat Turner. You barely hear our history and anything like that in terms of the school and anything like that. So I definitely want to look into and see exactly, I guess you could say, where his mind was at on why he, I guess, did what he does, or why he would justify why he feels like he needed to do what he did in his time, which, honestly, common sense wise, I don't even need to be justification for retaliating. I mean, it only takes so much. I tell people all the time about, just the cheek turner. Like, I mean, it's only a certain amount of time before that cheek is just like,
for me, it's a few things that caught my interest with this movie. The first being just the title that Nate Parker decided to use, Birth of a Nation, which, if you know or if you don't know, there was a film called The Birth of a Nation that came out in 1915 that it was actually like one of the first, if not the first, major theatrical release in the U.S., and it helped triple, quadruple the membership of the KKK. The film was shown in the White House, and it was just a big. It was a big film, and it actually, the title "Birth of a Nation," it actually shaped a lot of things, or kind of reaffirmed things that was going on in the U.S. at the time, and pushed a lot of things forward on the negative side. So for Nate to come, pretty much 100 years later, with this story, and it comes from telling another side of the story but using the same name, to me is like, okay, our nation, the black community, what we represent, what we've been through, this is in some ways the birth of us, as far as standing up you know, against the oppressor, you know, resisting. So um, this is our this what could be the birth of a new thought process for us today, with what we're dealing with today. So um, that was the main thing that caught my eye, and of course, just the story of Nat Turner has never been told on this scale. It's almost never been told at all. You know, thinking about history, I know I never heard of him in school. So I'm just glad to see it, you know, put out on this stage, and you know, just looking forward to seeing it. You know.
So we won't see, man. We won't see what it's looking like in here. Bet you it's empty. I bet you it's empty. Look at this pack house. Let me show you how black folks support. Look at this. Oh boy, we came out in droves to support this one. Standing room only, unless you wanted to sit down.
With attention and care.
Right. And see y'all, I know it's dark, but you see that? You see that? See all them seats?
Every detail matters.
Meanwhile, I just saw a brother with a white girl walking to see Magnificent Seven.
The all-new 3-row.
Guess they should have put Denzel in this one. Such is life.
Man, Birth of a Nation, man. That was real good, man. Nate Turner, he needs to do some more movies. I'm hoping he can do some more documentation or documentaries on maybe, you know, for example, MLK. You know, I'm telling you, I keep throwing that out there. We see bits and pieces of them, or maybe they can keep breaking it up. I don't know how they want to do that. But I'd like to learn about all our different leaders, from Marcus Garvey to now we got Nat Turner here, man, and you know, it makes a whole lot of sense. You know, it brings it all together here when you get to see that. Because I mean, it's justified. You know what I mean? Everything is justified. Everybody has their reasons. You know, and like he says, I mean, you keep somebody enslaved so much, I mean, you got retaliation. Now I can kind of joke about it now. And I was walking out the theater just a second ago with you know, a friend of mine. She was talking about how, man, you see. Well, first when we first started, she said, I don't know why you brought me to see this. Man, I looked over next to me again, and she's sitting there all up in the screen, leaned forward into the movie. But then towards the end, she basically was saying how she didn't want us to, we shouldn't have brought it because she feels like black people are going to go out trying to kill white people or do something crazy. It's like, come on now. Number one, when have we ever been influenced by movies or anything of that nature that's done something, that's caused us to, you know, go out and do anything massive? Idiot. No, it's just, honestly, stuff like this is just common knowledge. If it has that type of influence on you, then, I mean, if you're that type of a follower, then, you know, that's just foolish to me. But the movie, man, taken out of that, man, what I learned is I mean, hey, I learned a lot. I can say that, to say the least. Right now, I gotta think even more and kind of ponder on it a lot more. But that was man, that was good. I'll give it 2 thumbs up.
Oh,
2
really?
thumbs up.
What's on your mind, Chris?
I'll give it the fist.
Oh yeah.
Give it the fist, man. Let them know.
Yeah. Man, like Eddie said, it's a lot to take in. One thing that I like, not just about Birth of a Nation specifically, but just with period pieces and even like the whole slave movie. You know, there's the whole thing of like us not liking slave movies. You know, we tired of seeing slave movies, you know, that kind of thing. And I completely understand that. And I do kind of hold those same thoughts on one hand. On the other hand, the one thing that I always try to appreciate from, you know, the quote unquote slave movie is the message, like the hidden messages of like, of just being able to watch like the characters' development and like their growth throughout the story, even if you exclude the script and the screenplay of like what they're actually saying, and like, but just watching their growth as people and as characters in the movies, to me, it always gives a clarity of like the way we think now. It's like, oh, you know, okay, that's why we think that way, or that's where that attitude comes from, or man, they felt just like we feel. Like it was a moment, it was a scene in the movie where, you know, Nat Turner had got hit by one of the one of the masters, and another slave was like, he was ready to go in, like he was waiting,
like, no,
and that had to give him the cue, like, hey, no, chill, like, you know, let me take this one because, you know, like, yeah, it's a time for everything, and this isn't a time for that. And so, but it's like we have that same attitude now when we see things happen. You know, I mean, you want to rise up, you want to go in right there, but then you have to think like, okay, this could actually set me back a lot more and cause me not to actually reach the goal that I want to reach. So let me fall back, think on it, you know, strategize, and then come back.
Exactly, and that's kind of how.
And that's what they did, you know. You know, they, and they may have not achieved the goal. In their eyes, they didn't achieve the goal that they wanted because they didn't complete the whole thing that they wanted. But they achieved it in the sense that even, I mean, you're talking almost 30 years before the Civil War, but they pretty much lit that match, you know. So they did achieve it. It just wasn't in the way that they thought they would achieve it, but the goal was achieved. Well, at part of it, because we're still obviously still fighting today. So they kickstarted it though. So it's up to us to
spark the mind.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Tupac said. He was like, you know, I may not change the world, but I guarantee I will spark the mind or the brain of the person that will.
He was the snitch. He still turned it around.
I mean,
I look at it.
You know, it's like we're still fighting. So it's up to us to continue that. To, you know, we pretty much are the ones that define what the legacy is. You know, that when we die, I don't have control over how I'm remembered. You know, I mean, I can do things now, but really it's other people who are left behind who actually write who I was. And so the way we live, the way we function, we're still writing the legacy of Nat Turner and what his life and what his sacrifice meant by the way we behave now. If we actually carry out what he was trying to do, that's gonna prove whether his legacy was legit or whether it was, you know, like they said at the end of the movie, they tried to tarnish his legacy by all the things they did. So it's up to us at the end of the day.
Of why you need to know your history, man. I mean, just think about it, man. They try to cut that out. Just you know what I mean? Like, that's just, you know your history, man. That's exactly what he got. I mean, just paraphrasing it for him. I mean, you go ahead, Chris. I ain't trying to interrupt.
Nah, I mean, that's
know your history, man.
That's what it is, because the whole cliche saying, you know, you got to know where you come from to know where you're going, but it's truth to that, and you can't fully understand how you even got to where you are without knowing where you come from, and knowing, like I said at the beginning, of like, for me, I use movies like this, the whole slave movie kind of thing, to help me understand who I am, like, as a black man, and I mean, it's still just so much from that movie, but it's dope.
All right, so just left the theater. Give y'all some honest assessments, honest opinions. First off, I loved it. This isn't Django, you know. So a lot of people may be surprised by the ending because it's not a happy ending. This is more so Braveheart style of story, and it's meant to inspire. I take my hat off to Nate Parker, man. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to make a movie like this, because it's hard to even watch. First thing, I'm glad he didn't overly brutalize things, because we don't need to see a historically accurate slave movie for people to understand the type of oppression and things like that. And so, but there's a lot of lessons to be learned from it. I mean, at the end of the day, what I took from it is chess, not checkers. And it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And although we've came pretty far in America's short lifespan, we still have a long way to go. And I saw a lot of parallels that are still impacting us nowadays. One of the scenes where he was riding and he saw a dead slave and just had to keep on riding as if it wasn't there, just reminded me a lot of Michael Brown and his body laying there for hours, and how we have been desensitized as black men and women to seeing our own laying in the street dead in cold blood. It's a very, very powerful movie, and I encourage every person to go see it. It's not for the faint of heart. You know, it's not a gory movie, but just the premise of slavery is a difficult topic for modern day people to deal with, and it's why it's paramount. It's why it's important that we come out and support things like this. I'd like to go more in depth, but right now I'm just kind of taking it all in. But I'd like to thank everybody that came out with us tonight, and we got a lot of work to do. You know what I'm saying? But it all starts with that first step. And hopefully a film like this can put things in perspective for those of you who are not aware that we are in a war and that we do have to do things a lot differently if we intend to win.